Long ago, well nigh 2,000 years into the mists of the past, there lived a wealthy man and his beautiful, pious wife. They dwelt in a house that stood sturdy and proud, shielding them from the world. Yet within its walls the air was heavy with silence. For though they had gold in the cellars and fire in the hearth, they had no children. Day after day, the woman would stand in the courtyard beneath the twisting, ancient branches of a massive juniper tree. She would cast her prayers into the wind and water the roots with her tears, begging the heavens for a life to hold. One winter day, when the world was locked in iron and ice, she stood by her window peeling an apple. The world outside was a canvas of pristine white. As she worked, the sharp knife slipped, and 3 drops of blood fell onto the snow. The sight was striking, the violent red against the innocent white. A deep, strange longing seized her heart, a desire as sharp as the winter wind. She sighed, her breath forming a cloud against the glass, and whispered to the frozen silence, "Ah, if only I had a child as red as blood and as white as snow." And as she spoke, the wind shifted. The wish was taken. The wheel of the year began to turn. The ice retreated into the earth. The snow melted into rushing streams, and the green returned to the meadows. The juniper tree, the keeper of her secrets, burst into fragrant blossom. As the world swelled with life, so too did the woman. By summer, the juniper berries grew thick and firm, and the woman's heart was full of a strange, delirious joy. But as autumn arrived, painting the forests in gold and crimson, she grew pale. She ate the berries from the tree, and a heavy shadow fell upon her soul. She knew with the instinct of the dying that her time was short. She called her husband to her side, her voice trembling like a dry leaf. "If I die," she promised him, "bury me beneath the juniper tree." And when the 9th month came, a child was born. A boy, perfect and whole, with skin as white as driven snow and lips as red as blood. The mother held him for one singular eternal moment of happiness, and then she died. Her husband, broken by grief, kept his promise. He buried her deep beneath the roots of the juniper tree. He wept until his eyes were dry, until the seasons turned again, and eventually, the sharp edge of sorrow dulled into memory. Life, relentless and demanding, moved on. He took a second wife. The new mistress of the house brought with her a daughter, Marlene. Marlene was a gentle soul, with eyes full of timidity and a heart full of love. But the woman, she was different. When she looked at her own daughter, she saw herself. But when she looked at the boy who carried the ghost of the first wife in his face, her heart curdled with a venomous envy. He was too beautiful. He was the heir. He was the living reminder that she was merely the second choice. The devil of jealousy whispered in her ear, day after day, turning her heart into a stone dungeon. She pushed the boy from corner to corner, slapping him, pinching him, making his life a misery of fear. The boy had no sanctuary, no peace, save for the fleeting moments he spent with his sister. Then came the day that would stain the house forever. It was an afternoon of deceptive calm.
Don't be afraid.
The boy came home from
It's
school,
perfectly safe.
his small shoes tapping on the wooden floor. The stepmother stood by a massive chest made of heavy oak, filled with apples. Her eyes gleamed with a terrifying kindness, a mask hiding the predator beneath. "My son," she said, her voice dripping like poisoned honey, "would you like an apple?" The boy looked at her, his innocence blinding him to the danger. "Mother," he asked, "why do you look so strange?" "But yes, I would like one." "Come then," she beckoned, lifting the heavy iron-bound lid. "Pick the best one for yourself." As the boy leaned over, peering into the dark, sweet-smelling depths of the chest, the devil seized her. With a strength born of pure malice, she slammed the heavy lid down. Crash! The sound echoed through the house like a thunderclap, shaking the very timbers. Then silence. A silence heavier than the noise. But evil is rarely satisfied with just the act. It demands a cover. Panic, cold and sharp, took hold of her. She arranged the boy's lifeless body on a chair, tied a white handkerchief around his neck to hide the wound, and placed an apple in his hand. When little Marlene came into the room, She saw her brother sitting there, still as a statue. "Brother," she said softly, "give me that apple?" He did not answer. He did not blink. The afternoon sun caught the dust motes dancing around him, but he did not move. Frightened, she ran to her mother. "Mother, brother looks so strange, he won't speak to me." "Go back," the woman commanded, her voice cold as the grave. "If he doesn't answer, give him a box on the ear." Marlene obeyed. She reached out, her hand trembling, and touched him. The body fell. The poor girl's scream pierced the air. She wept, believing she was the cause, drowning in a guilt that was not hers to bear. Her tears flowed like rivers, but they could not wash away the tragedy. What followed is a darkness too deep to dwell upon, a horror that belongs to the shadows. The stepmother, in her madness to hide the crime, took the boy and cooked him into a stew. And when the father returned, tired from his day, he sat at the table and ate. He ate with a voracious hunger, possessed by a strange appetite. "Why does this food taste so good?" he asked, scraping the plate. "Give me more. Feels as if it belongs to me. I cannot leave a single morsel." While he ate, Marlene sat under the table. She could not eat. She could only weep. She gathered the small white bones that fell from her father's plate. She washed them with her tears, not in water, but in pure, unadulterated sorrow. She took her finest silk scarf, wrapped the bones with the tenderness of a mother, and carried them out into the mist. She laid the bundle among the roots of the juniper tree, and then the magic awoke. It began as a whisper in the leaves. The tree started to tremble. The branches moved, separating and coming together like hands clapping in applause. A mist rose not from the air, but from the soul of the tree, a fragrant living steam. Inside the mist, a fire burned. It was not a fire that consumes, but a fire that purifies. From the heart of that spectral flame, a bird flew out. It was no ordinary bird. Its feathers shimmered with gold and emerald. Its eyes held the wisdom of the ages and the fire of the stars. It soared high into the night sky, singing a song so beautiful, so haunting, that the silk scarf and the bones vanished as if they had never been. The bird was the spirit of justice, and it had a journey to make. It flew first to the house of a goldsmith. Perched upon the roof, bathed in the morning light, it sang its truth to the world. "My mother, she killed me, my father, he ate me, my sister Marlene, gathered all my bones, tied them in silk, laid them beneath the juniper tree. Kiwit, Kiwit, what a beautiful bird am I." The goldsmith stopped his work. The song pierced his heart like a golden needle. He ran out, his apron fluttering, his tools forgotten. "Bird," he cried, looking up at the magnificent creature. "How beautifully you sing. Sing it again for me." "No," said the bird, its voice echoing like a bell. "I do not give my songs for free. Give me the gold chain you hold in your hand, and I will sing." The goldsmith did not hesitate. He handed over the heavy golden chain, a masterpiece of his craft. The bird caught it in its right claw, and without a backward glance flew on. Next, it flew to the house of a shoemaker. Again, the melody cascaded down from the roof tiles, stopping the shoemaker and his apprentices in their tracks. The song told the tragedy, the betrayal, and the love of the sister. Enraptured, the shoemaker called out, "Bird, sing that again. It is sweeter than water to a thirsty man." "I shall," the bird replied, "but not for nothing. Give me those red shoes." The shoemaker threw up a pair of shoes made of the finest red leather, fit for a prince. The bird caught them in its left claw and took flight once more, a splash of color against the sky. Finally it came to a mill. The great sails were turning, clack, 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 grinding the grain. 20 men were hewing a massive millstone, their hammers striking in rhythm. The bird landed on a linden tree and began its song. "My mother, she killed me." One man stopped working. "My father, he ate me." Two more stopped, wiping sweat from their brows. "My sister Marlene." By the end of the song, the entire mill was silent. The hammers lay still. The melody was more powerful than the grinding of stones, heavier than the rock itself. "Sing it again," they begged, their faces upturned in wonder. "I will," the bird said, looking down with eyes like burning coals. "But I need that millstone." It was a stone so heavy 20 men had to heave and strain to lift it. But the bird caught it around its neck as if it weighed no more than a feather. With the gold in one claw, the shoes in the other, and the stone around its neck, the bird flew back home. The sun was setting, casting long golden shadows across the father's house. The air was thick with the tension of approaching judgment. Inside, the father sat by the fire. "I feel so happy," he said, rubbing his chest, a smile touching his lips for the first time in years. "I feel as if an old friend is coming to visit. The air feels lighter." But the stepmother trembled. "I feel like the world is ending," she whispered, sweat pouring down her face. "I feel a fire burning within me. My blood boils." Marlene sat in the corner, weeping quietly. "I feel so sad," she said, "and yet so hopeful. I feel as if the stars are watching us." Then the bird landed on the juniper tree. It began to sing. "My mother, she killed me." The stepmother clamped her hands over her ears, shutting her eyes tight, but the song raged inside her head like a storm. It was the sound of her own guilt, amplified 1,000 times. "My father, he ate me." The father ran out into the garden. "What a voice," he cried. "It heals my weary soul." As he stepped under the tree, the bird dropped the heavy gold chain. It fell right around the father's neck, fitting perfectly. He marveled at the gift, feeling a dignity and a lightness he hadn't felt since his first wife died. "My sister Marlene." Marlene stepped out, her eyes red from crying. The bird tossed down the red shoes. She slipped them on and suddenly her feet felt light. She danced, her grief lifting like morning fog, her heart swelling with a strange, impossible joy. The stepmother was alone inside. She was burning. The song was tearing her apart. "I must go out," she gasped, clawing at the walls. "I must get some air or my heart will burst. I must silence that bird." As she stepped across the threshold, her eyes wild with madness, the bird sang the final line. "Kiwit, Kiwit, what a beautiful bird am I." And with that, the bird released the millstone. It fell from the sky like the gavel of a divine judge. Crash! The earth shook. The trees bowed. Smoke, dust, and magical sparks exploded where the stone hit, hiding the garden from view. The stepmother was crushed, erased from the world she had poisoned with her hate. She was gone, leaving not even a shadow behind. The father and Marlene stood frozen, shielding their eyes from the blast. But as the dust settled, the magic of the juniper tree revealed its final, greatest miracle. The bird was gone. The bones were gone. The horror was gone. Standing in the golden light, amidst the rising steam and the scent of juniper, was the boy. He was alive. He was whole. He held a red apple in his hand, fresh and unblemished. He smiled at his sister. He smiled at his father. There were no words needed, for some miracles are too great for language. Marlene ran to him, the red shoes flashing in the twilight. The father fell to his knees, embracing them both, his family restored. They walked back into the house, 3 souls bound by loss and conquered by love. Behind them, the juniper tree stood tall and silent, its leaves whispering in the wind, guarding the secrets of the past. For in this world, wickedness may have its hour, and darkness may hide the truth. But love has eternity, and from the deepest winter of the soul, spring will always return.